Good morning, my dear friend. Let me inquire about something deeply from my heart. Have you ever simply sat in your kitchen, perhaps holding a warm cup of coffee, and just felt complete, serene, and perfectly content with the quiet that surrounds you? If that feeling resonates with you, then it's not just about being comfortable by yourself. You might actually be thriving in that space. And you are definitely not by yourself in this experience. Today, our talk will be about 5 distinct kinds of women who find the most happiness living on their own. These aren't women who are lonely. These are strong, perceptive, well-balanced women who have reached a point in their lives where they no longer feel the need to explain their actions, compromise their personal space, or wait for someone else to confirm their choices. Whether you have embraced being alone after a lengthy marriage, or you have consistently enjoyed your own presence, or you've only recently begun to understand how rich life can be when you live it according to your own desires, this message is truly for you. We are going to delve into 5 unique types of women, each possessing her own narrative, her own strengths, and her own distinct kind of inner peace. By the conclusion of our discussion, I believe you will recognize aspects of yourself in at least one of them, and perhaps even in all 5. So if you have ever felt somehow different because you appreciate your own personal area, your own natural rhythm, your own way of life, I want you to truly understand that you are not different at all. You are wise and you are precisely where you are meant to be. Let's start with the first kind of woman who is not just satisfied living by herself, but is absolutely flourishing in that situation. I refer to her as the woman of clear judgment. Now, that label might seem a bit dramatic initially, but please stay with me. Once you hear her narrative, you might realize it sounds very much like your own. The woman of clear judgment is distinct, assured, and most importantly, she is decisive. This is a woman who has dedicated her lifetime to learning how to rely on her own discernment. Whether she is making a choice about what to prepare for a meal or determining whether to move to a different part of the country, she does not hesitate. She understands how to evaluate the facts, pay attention to her inner instincts, and proceed with certainty. What distinguishes her is that she doesn't feel any obligation to consult someone else before she takes action. For her, living independently isn't just a preference. It is a profound source of tranquility. She is not impolite about it, and she is certainly not emotionally distant. In fact, she might be one of the warmest, most generous individuals you know, but she is also deeply aware of what she desires. And she does not enjoy having to negotiate her requirements with someone who might not truly comprehend them. Let me share a story about Margaret. Margaret is 73 years old and previously worked as a high school principal. After retiring, she relocated from Boston to Santa Fe entirely on her own. When I inquired why, she simply stated, "I just needed more sunlight in my life." And she truly meant that in every possible way. She explained to me, "I spent 40 years making important decisions for educational institutions, for young people, for my own family. Now I get to make decisions solely for myself and no one else." There was a subtle happiness in her tone when she expressed this. Not defiance, not resentment, just a calm, well-deserved self-assurance. For women like Margaret, even the well-intentioned advice of companions or family members can begin to feel like an intrusion. They do not wish to discuss their holiday plans or how they manage their financial reserves or whether they should refurbish the spare room. They have already done all the necessary thinking. They have considered the advantages and disadvantages. They have engaged in an internal dialogue with themselves, and that is completely sufficient. Some of these women, like Margaret, are quick thinkers. Others are more deliberate in their processing, quietly contemplating matters in private. But whether they make their choices instantly or after a prolonged solitary stroll, they do not require anyone's approval. That is not stubbornness, it is self-governance. They have rightfully earned the privilege to be the sole architect of their own existence. And if you are nodding in agreement right now, perhaps even smiling a little to yourself, then you just might be a woman of clear judgment. 2, you do not avoid companionship due to apprehension or past emotional hurt. You simply discover your most complete self in being alone. You guide your own life according to your own conditions, and that is not merely admirable, it is truly lovely. So a toast to you, dear women of clear judgment out there, the choosers, the navigators, the quiet masters of your own vessel. Your clarity is not harsh, it is sacred. And your capacity to trust your own inner compass, that is your true liberty. Now, let's explore the second kind of woman who thrives in being alone. I call her the inner artist. She is not influenced by external clamor. Her strength does not stem from the people she is surrounded by, but from what she builds within her own being. She is tranquil, not because she has nothing to express, but because she is constantly attending to the quiet murmurs of her spirit, the rhythm of her thoughts, the sacred stillness that many fail to notice. The inner artist is the woman who finds delight in the peaceful corners of daily existence. She is not attempting to be isolated. She simply understands that her essence comes alive when she is. She engages in reading, she writes, she paints, she meditates. She does not require continuous conversation, background noise, or anyone else's presence to feel fulfilled. In fact, too much disruption can make her feel scattered, pulled away from her own core. I would like to tell you about Elaine. Elaine is 68 and a retired instructor of music. She resides in a comfortable, bright dwelling near a small body of water in Michigan. Most mornings, she ignites a candle, prepares a robust cup of dark tea for herself, and writes in her private journal for an hour before the world truly awakens. Her residence is filled with gentle melodies, volumes of books stacked beside the hearth, and small items that recount her personal narrative. A mollusk shell from the first shore she visited by herself, an antique teacup inherited from her grandmother, and an artwork she commenced during a winter tempest and never completed because, in her own words, it already communicated what I needed it to. Elaine confided in me, when I was younger, I thought being by myself implied I was not wanted. Now, being by myself means I have the opportunity to desire what I genuinely cherish. That transition from feeling isolated to having clear purpose is the fundamental nature of the inner artist. Many women in this group are individuals with creative inclinations, painters, authors, knitters, gardeners, but creativity here does not necessarily mean producing something tangible. It can signify arranging your day around what truly nurtures you. It is the liberty to follow your curiosity, to rest when you are weary, to stand in the kitchen softly vocalizing a tune no one else knows. It is the profound art of living from one's innermost self. There is also another truth about the inner artist that we do not frequently discuss openly, and that is her evolving connection with close relationships. For some women, especially as they grow older, the desire for physical connection diminishes. And for certain individuals like Elaine, that brings a sense of relief rather than a feeling of deprivation. She shared with me that the change of life was like a gentle door closing. I used to wonder if I should feel sorrow about that. But honestly, what I experienced was calmness, as if I had more capacity in my thoughts and feelings for other kinds of happiness. This does not suggest that inner artist women are cold or distant. Quite the contrary. They often possess a deep, rich reservoir of affection for living creatures, for the natural world, for beauty, for their wider community, but they no longer seek emotional completion through conventional partnerships. They may have had vibrant romantic lives in the past, or they may have never felt that kind of attraction, but where they are now is a state of peace. And peace is certainly not an insignificant achievement. If you are someone who feels most at ease when the world is calm, if you have ever found yourself smiling while tending to your plants or recording your thoughts in a private notebook, or simply sitting in the sun listening to the song of birds, you might just be an inner artist too. Your happiness does not require acclaim. Your affection does not need confirmation. You are complete because you respect who you are without reservation. So here's to you, the inner artist, the women who establish sacred environments with nothing more than pure intention, who communicate with themselves with kindness and with the world with clarity. You don't just endure being alone, you adorn it with vibrant hues and envelop it in comfort, and that, my dear one, is a special gift only you can offer. Now let's discuss the third kind of woman who glows brightly in her own company. I refer to her as the compassionate giver, and it's very likely you have encountered her, or perhaps you embody her. She is the individual who consistently remembered special occasions, who prepared everyone else's meal before settling down herself, who stayed up late assisting a child with schoolwork, or comforting a friend through a period of sadness. Her spirit is interwoven with kindness. For many decades, her existence may have centered around the requirements of others, but something truly wonderful unfolds as time progresses. The compassionate giver, after dedicating so much of herself to everyone else, begins to direct that same care inward. It doesn't occur immediately. There might be an initial sense of wrongdoing, for resting, for declining requests, for prioritizing inner peace over external obligations. But gradually, something transforms. She realizes she is still a provider of care, only now the person she's attending to is herself. Let me share a story about a woman named Carol. Carol is 71, a retired nurse, and a mother of 3. For most of her existence, she was the steady support everyone relied upon. She cooked every meal, recalled every appointment, and made sure her dwelling was a place where people felt secure. But after her children matured and departed, and her spouse passed away following a prolonged illness, Carol found herself surrounded by quietness and uncertain of how to navigate it. Initially, she confessed the silence felt unbearable. "I didn't know who I was if I wasn't needed," she disclosed to me. "It was as if the telephone ceased ringing, and so did my very purpose." But over time, she began to uncover something unexpected. She enjoyed preparing meals solely for herself. She started acquiring blossoms for her own kitchen counter. She took extended strolls and began writing in a journal about pursuits she had always desired to undertake but never found the opportunity for. Now, she said, smiling gently, "I prepare myself a complete morning meal every single day, just as I used to for my loved ones. Only this time, it is for me, because I am important too." That is the profound impact of the compassionate giver when she reclaims her self-care. It is easy for women like Carol to be overlooked. Society tends to commend youthfulness and ambition, not quiet fortitude and empathy. But make no mistake, these women sustain entire households, entire communities, frequently without any acknowledgement or gratitude. And when they begin to acknowledge their own intrinsic worth, not through what they contribute to others, but through the simple act of cherishing themselves, it represents a quiet revolution. It represents a quiet revolution. The compassionate giver does not cease loving others. That would contradict her very nature. But she starts establishing personal boundaries. She discovers that expressing refusal does not make her unkind, it makes her whole. She realizes that resting is not idleness, that being by herself is not selfishness. She stops depleting her own resources and begins to replenish her own supply. That she starts depleting her own resources and begins to replenish her own. She finds that her own supply, this woman might find satisfaction in the most minor actions. Cultivating herbs on her window ledge, knitting a soft neck warmer for herself, reading late into the evening without experiencing any guilt. She might illuminate a candle, not because visitors are expected, but because she merits a beautiful environment in which to breathe and simply exist. She learns to savor the small rituals, a leisurely walk after the evening meal, tea served in a proper ceramic cup, melodies from her younger days playing softly in the background. If you are a compassionate giver, you have already mastered the skill of caring. But now the important question is, can you direct some of that same tenderness toward the reflection you see in the mirror? Because you are just as deserving of affection as anyone you have ever looked after. And when you begin to show up for yourself with the same grace and dedication you have demonstrated to others, that is when living by yourself ceases to feel empty and starts to feel truly abundant. So, to the compassionate giver, to the women who have shared their affection with others and are now finally returning that same affection to themselves, you are not self-centered. You are not forgotten. You are simply entering a period of renewal, a time where you get to be the one supported, respected, and healed. And you truly deserve every moment of it. Now we come to the fourth kind of woman who lives well, not just in solitude, but in a state of complete self-mastery. I refer to her as the accomplished builder. She is calm, steady, and deeply grounded in the life she has constructed with her own dedicated efforts. This is a woman who comprehends the worth of every single coin because she personally earned each and every one. And just as importantly, she understands the value of her own time, her personal space, and her individual liberty. She's in her own personal space, in her own care and nurturing. Her family is perfectly at her back. She never once only pulls at her own liberty. The accomplished builder is not reliant on others. She may have once shared a life, a financial account, a dwelling, or perhaps she never did. Regardless, what is significant now is that she knows how to care for herself emotionally, spiritually, and financially. She is not intimidated by diligent effort, and she is not fearful of being by herself. In fact, the two aspects often go hand in hand. Allow me to introduce you to Joyce. Joyce is 67, and after a 3-decade career in real estate, she now resides in a sun-drenched home in Oregon, filled with artistic creations and cherished memories. She dedicated decades to establishing her business from its very beginnings, tirelessly working, making unsolicited contacts, negotiating with self-assurance in a professional world that was not always welcoming to women with ambition. But she persisted. She raised 2 children on her own. She completely paid off her residence. And when she finally retired, she did not seek out someone to spend her time with. She sought out how to spend it wisely and meaningfully. Joyce shared something with me that I've never forgotten. She stated, "I did not exert this much effort just to share my decisions with someone who has not experienced this journey alongside me. I am not against love, but I am finished with making concessions. I want to wake up every morning and know that every single choice is truly mine." That, in essence, is the very spirit of the accomplished builder. This type of woman might still be engaged in work, or she might be retired, but irrespective of her income, the crucial point is that she acquired what she possesses through her own endeavors. Her sense of security was not given to her. She did not inherit it. She forged it, bit by bit, decision by decision, year after year. And because of that, she protects it with great care. This does not imply she is ungenerous, quite the opposite. The accomplished builder is frequently one of the most giving women you will encounter. She supports causes that are meaningful to her. She contributes financially, she volunteers her time, she gives without requiring recognition. But when it pertains to her personal resources, her time, her energy, her home, she is thoughtful. She does not allow just anyone in, not because she is closed off, but because she knows precisely how long it took to create this stable existence, and she will not jeopardize it carelessly. She is also very clear about what a partnership would signify for her and what it absolutely must not signify. She will not serve as someone's retirement plan. She will not combine financial resources out of compulsion. She is not looking to be rescued, and she is certainly not looking to be managed or controlled. If anything, the accomplished builder is open to companionship as long as it respects her independence. But if that companionship never materializes, she is perfectly content. Her life is abundant with comfort, with personal authority, with quiet victories that no one else might notice, but that she celebrates every single day. And here is something else that distinguishes her. She frequently has a grand aspiration, a clear personal vision for what her resources are truly meant for. Perhaps it involves extensive travel. Perhaps it involves assisting young women in the scientific field, like my friend Evelyn, who established a scholarship fund in her hometown. Perhaps it is for artistic pursuits or gardening or building a lasting contribution in end-of-life care or animal welfare. Whatever it may be, she did not simply save for financial security. She saved for profound purpose and meaning. If this description resonates with you, if you have toiled, planned, made sacrifices, and now find genuine happiness in the life you have meticulously constructed, then you are most certainly an accomplished builder. You deserve to relish every single dollar you have earned, every choice you have made, every peaceful morning that belongs to no one but you. So here's to you, to the woman who forged her own path and is no longer interested in relinquishing any ground. She spent a lifetime asserting your independence, and it is not a defense. It is a powerful declaration, and you do not require anyone to validate your journey because you already know it is paved with strength and it leads precisely where you desire to go. And now we arrive at the fifth kind of woman who is not just enduring being alone, she is embodying it with grace and profound insight. I refer to her as the wise observer. She is the quiet witness, the narrator of experiences, the insightful guide. She does not require a bustling household or constant noise to feel significant. She carries her inherent value within her voice, her presence, and her unique viewpoint. The wise observer is a woman who has lived deeply and fully. She has likely encountered loss, made difficult choices, experienced emotional distress, and navigated through periods that others could never entirely comprehend. She has witnessed the best and the worst aspects of human nature, including her own. And through all of it, she has gathered not just memories, but profound meaning. What sets the wise observer apart is that she no longer feels the need to demonstrate anything. She is not constructing a resume. She is not pursuing external validation. She is not competing for affection or attention. She knows precisely who she is, and her very presence is a precious gift to those around her. She may not speak frequently, but when she does, people truly listen. Allow me to tell you about someone I know. Her name is Bernice. She is 76 and resides in a small dwelling nestled in the Colorado mountains. She previously worked as a history instructor at a high school and dedicated years to guiding students through the narratives of the past. But in her retirement, Bernice has become a different kind of mentor. Once each week, she volunteers at a local community center, offering guidance to adolescent girls. They inquire about everything imaginable: love, family, discovering purpose, and she never pretends to possess all the solutions. Instead, she shares the truth with them, refined by a life lived completely. She once confided in me, "They don't need someone flawless, they need someone genuine." And at this stage of my life, I have no desire to be anything but authentic. That is the essence of the wise observer. The wise observer may live independently, but she is seldom lonely. This is because she does not perceive being alone as an absence. She sees it as a unique perspective. It is a place where she can observe the world with profound clarity. It is where she contemplates, records her thoughts, recalls memories, and achieves inner peace with everything that has transpired before. For her, existence is not about what comes next. It is about what is truly authentic. Many wise observers become what I call quiet pillars in their communities. They do not demand attention, but they naturally attract individuals who long for wisdom. They do not demand authority, but they naturally attract individuals who long for wisdom. They may facilitate writing circles, offer spiritual guidance, or simply share their personal stories at literary gatherings or during casual coffee conversations. And often, without even intending to, they become exemplary figures, not for their accomplishments, but for the way they conduct their lives. They live slowly with clear intention. They know what truly matters and what does not. They are not interested in fleeting trends or superficial drama. They have learned to release resentment, to let go of past regrets, and to embrace moments of quiet. There is a profound tranquility within them that others can perceive, an inner peace that was not bestowed upon them, but earned through experience. And while they may no longer require a partner, many wise observers remain deeply connected to their companions, to their neighbors, to younger generations. But those connections are chosen not out of a fear of being by themselves, but out of the joy of meaningful interaction. The wise observer understands that solitude can be a sanctuary, a space to hear her own thoughts, to feel her own heartbeat, to connect with something greater than herself. For some, it is prayer. For others, it is poetic expression. For many, it is simply the act of remembering. Remembering who they are and what they have navigated through, this is the kind of woman who can enter a room and utter only a few sentences, but leave people transformed. She does not require a companion to complete her. She does not require noise to feel alive. She is already whole, not despite her solitude, but because of what it has made possible. If you recognize yourself in the wise observer, if you discover joy in contemplation, purpose in tranquility, and fulfillment in quiet contribution, then allow me to tell you something from the depths of my being. You are not overlooked. You are not invisible. You are the guiding light many of us are orienting toward. You remind the rest of us that there exists a kind of strength that is not loud, a kind of beauty that does not diminish, and a kind of power that emanates not from possessing all the answers, but from understanding which questions truly hold significance. So here's to you, the wise observer, the witness, the trailblazer. Your life is not behind you. It is vibrant in every word you express, every choice you make, and every gentle, unwavering step you take in the world. And in your solitude, you are not lessened, you are refined. You are not alone, you are complete. So my dear friend, we have encountered 5 remarkable women today. Perhaps you recognized yourself in one of them. Perhaps you saw fragments of yourself in all 5. Maybe you are the woman of clear judgment, who thrives on distinctness and self-reliance, who makes decisions with assurance and does not need to consult anyone before constructing a beautiful life. Or perhaps you are the inner artist, who creates subtle magic behind closed doors, who finds profound meaning in quiet thought, writing in a journal, engaging in artistic expression, or simply observing the changing seasons outside your dwelling. Maybe you are the compassionate giver who dedicated years or even decades to caring for others and who is now learning the quiet, profound skill of nurturing herself with the same dedication. Or you might be the accomplished builder, the self-made woman, the planner, the contributor, the one who earned her personal freedom and now safeguards it, not out of apprehension, but out of deep self-respect. And perhaps, just perhaps, you are the wise observer, the insightful one, the calm amidst the turmoil, the one who no longer needs to pursue anything because she carries her authentic self with her wherever she goes. Whichever woman you are or are becoming, please understand this. You are not peculiar for cherishing your solitude. You are not flawed because you are not in a partnership. You are not less significant for choosing peace over disturbance. You are complete. You are brilliant. You are exactly where you are meant to be. There is a quiet yet potent strength in living by oneself, especially as a woman, because it signifies that you have moved away from what others told you you ought to desire. And you have gravitated toward what genuinely nurtures you. That requires courage. That requires discernment. That requires heart. And if no one has recently expressed it to you, I am truly proud of you. I see your life, your choices, your silent victories, and they are truly meaningful. So, if you enjoyed this conversation, I would be delighted if you would share your thoughts below. Tell me which type of woman resonated with you the most. Share a small part of your own narrative. If you feel comfortable, this space is for you. And for all of us who are learning each day that happiness does not arise from what the world believes we require, but from listening deeply to what our very essence already comprehends. Until our next interaction, please take gentle care of yourself. This is your existence, and you, precisely as you are in the quiet of your own home, are more than sufficient. Thank you for sharing this time with me.